Thank you to Madam Holovaya, the Director General of the UN in Geneva, to Tedros Ghebreyesus, the Director General of WHO, to President Vajara Friberger from Latvia, President Emil Constantinescu from Romania, and Federico Mayor, former Director General of the United Nations, UNESCO in Paris. Deeply grateful to the United Nations in Geneva for partnering with us and hosting this conference, to the Director General and the wonderful team headed by her cabinet, David Chikwaize, and all those in the UN who have collaborated with us and made this event possible, and all our other partner organizations around the world who are contributing to the 35 sessions with more than 200 speakers who will be participating. It's exactly 7 years ago, last week, that the United Nations in Geneva invited the World Academy to collaborate on a conference on the need for a new paradigm in human development. We had more than 200 diplomats in the Palais des Nations examining the challenges facing the world in the 21st century and the need for substantial changes in the way we're approaching them. The need for leadership in policy, in strategy, in institutions, in thought, in values, in thinking that is necessary. And the Academy, in collaboration with many partner organizations, have been working the last 7 years on trying to evaluate and identify what changes are really needed to make a breakthrough in progress. 2020, the 60th anniversary of the World Academy, founded in 1960, just in the middle of the Cold War when it was still heating up by very eminent intellectuals. The 75th anniversary of the United Nations. 2020 represents another crisis point in modern history, which probably few of us anticipated just a few years ago. The pandemic is only the latest, most dramatic, most intensely felt of these events. The economic recession, which is just amidst us and is growing in proportions, the retreat from democracy, renewed arms race, talk of nuclear weapons, the polarization of society, and of course, the climate challenge, which grows day by day. All of these were problems that we thought would be overcome at the end of the Cold War. We never imagined that they would be resurging and growing in intensity and magnitude and surfacing in new ways. And we also face new ones which we didn't anticipate at the end of the Cold War at all. And yet at the very time when we're faced with these intense challenges, we face a global leadership vacuum, a loss of trust in our institutions, not only at the global level, but at the national level as well. And yet there's a certain irony here, because this is a time greater than any in history, when humanity has the capacity to address its problems successfully. We have the capacity to meet the needs of every human being on Earth. What we seem to lack is the capacity to mobilize these resources effectively, to mobilize the political will to address these challenges straight on. We suffer from a sense of helplessness to overcome the powers of entrenched forces, vested interests, inertia, and ignorance at the very time when we need to act, and we do have the capacity to act. And yet the pandemic shows us that just in a few short months, when humanity does feel mobilized, does feel the urgency, does feel the need for action, that we have the capacity for concerted action at unprecedented speed and magnitude, and even for global cooperation at that level. Our challenge today is, how do we convert these unprecedented challenges into unprecedented opportunities? And a critical link for that is leadership. The SDGs provide to us, for the first time in humanity, a set of inspiring goals, common goals negotiated by 193 countries that humanity has agreed we must achieve. It is a form of leadership in direction. We need also the leadership of outstanding individuals of all ages, from the 15-year-olds up, to show us the way. But we know we need much more than that. We need leadership in ideas, leadership in values, leadership in organization, leadership in strategy, leadership in policy, leadership in business, leadership in the civil society, leadership in education and research in other areas as well. Today we know pretty well what our problems are. We don't need decades of analysis to tell us what they are. And ironically, we know pretty well that the solutions for many, if not all, of these problems. Our challenge is to transform the long, slow process of social evolution into a rapid process of conscious social transformation. The idea of social transformation is not just a utopian idea. We have lived through and seen dramatic transformations in our lifetime, things that we never believed would be possible just a few years, sometimes a few days before they took place. The abolition of colonial empires after World War II, which was not predicted at the time the UN was founded, the end of the Cold War and the democratization of Eastern Europe, the unification of Europe, the birth of the internet. These are monumental achievements which were not anticipated just a few years earlier. What we're looking for out of this conference is not just talking about the problems or even talking about the grand solutions, but how do we move forward? What are the catalytic strategies that we can use to break the inertia and the resistance, ideas that can lead to action and promote human security for all humanity? This conference is not the end of a project. We're in the middle, and it's not intended to give us all the answers. We look at it as a process of collaborative discovery and preparation for the main conference at UNOG in October 27th and 28th. I thank you on behalf of the Academy for your participation and look forward to collaborating with you during these 5 days and in the months beyond, in which we'll be working on this project together. Thank you.